Welcome everyone to our latest episode of Team Lead Talks. Today I have the honor of talking to Matt McGee from Tri-Cities, Washington, our first West Coast interviewee.
Woohoo!
Welcome to the
Awesome.
show.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. It's great to be here. Love the
Yeah.
West Coast.
Yeah, I think I've gone as west as Colorado, so
Okay.
we're getting there, right? I went international a few weeks ago with a few people in Canada, so
Oh,
but now we
nice.
have the whole US span, so
Nice.
welcome.
You're slowly progressing west and taking over the whole country. I love it.
Yes, I just need to, if you know anyone in Hawaii, let me know so I can,
I
or Alaska. I
I
need to go
do.
even further.
Alaska, I don't. My wife probably does, but I do know a great agent in Hawaii that you should totally talk to, running a team there on Maui. I will connect you afterwards.
Awesome. I'm going to hold you to that. This is
Yeah.
recorded and it's a binding verbal contract, so you're
Okay.
going to have to send me this referral
You got
introduction.
it. Consider it done.
Let's. All right, Matt. Well, again, welcome to the show. I'm so glad we were able to connect. This is what
Appreciate
I
it.
kind of love about Team Lead Talks. I get to meet interesting, fun, nice, cool people all over North America now, which has
Exactly.
been great. So let everyone know, kind of just give, a little elevator pitch background of your genesis of how you got into real estate. And I'm sure people would love to hear your story.
Sure, I appreciate it. So I've been surrounded by real estate my whole life. My dad was a real estate agent, owned a small boutique independent brokerage. He started back in 1951, Andrew, in right outside the Philadelphia area. And I
Oh,
remember
wow.
as a kid, he would bring home the big, thick blue book of MLS listings, and I'd like thumb through them and like look at the houses in the neighborhood. Like,
So it's like a
so
phone book, MLS before computers and the internet?
yeah, it was
That's
all
how it
printed
worked?
out. I think it was like once a month, maybe. They would just like he'd come
I've
home with this.
never heard that before.
Yeah, come on. It was like this thick blue book of all the listings in our area, and yeah, I just like paged through it while I was eating my cereal or whatever. My sister has been a real estate agent for 25 years or so. My wife is a real estate agent. She runs a team here in Tri-Cities, Washington. She got her license in 2004, so 20 years now for her in real estate. And
Yeah.
then I have been doing marketing. I'm her marketing director now. I've been doing online marketing since the mid to late 1990s, SEO, websites, content, email marketing, social media when it came along, sort of
Oh,
mid 2000s and all that sort of stuff. And when she formed her team in 2018, early 2018, I just like joined her as her marketing director. And so I've been her marketing director for the last 5, 6 years or so, and just helping her again, like with her website, with her email newsletter, with all her content creation, video, the whole nine yards. So yeah,
right.
that's sort of like the I guess the Cliff Notes version of my story.
So it sounds like you have a little bit of background experience,
Just yeah,
and,
just a,
and
just just a little.
you've been privy to this crazy industry that we're in from the time your dad brought home that book to
Hmm.
your siblings to now your wife.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Just totally try to escape real estate, but at some point in your life, you realize you can't escape it,
Yeah.
and it's what
I
you're
think you're
supposed
in
to.
it, man.
Yeah, I'm in for good. Like I used to, like, even though she got her start in 2004, I would help her like with hey, you should blog about this, you should blog about this, or you should do but it wasn't like a real formal relationship. I had other clients that I was doing SEO for and helping.
Right.
I've done SEO consulting for clients like as big as Target and the Weather Channel, but really mostly small businesses along the way. And I love working with small businesses because they can do things a lot quicker. Don't have to
Right.
like go through like 10 layers of committees
The
to get things
bureaucracy of
approved.
approvals.
Oh my gosh, it was just a nightmare. And so yeah, I never liked that. So yeah, so like helping her like informally over the years, but then we like said, all right, why don't I make this my full-time thing back in 2017.
Cool.
And then I should add too that around 2019, like 2019 is when we had put all her marketing systems in place for her team. So like there was formal, like we're going to blog this off and we're going to do social media. We're going to start the email newsletter once a month. I was like this full-time job became like a part-time job, and so I said, look, like I was like literally sitting in this chair that I'm in right now, and I'd be playing games on my iPad for half the day, and I was like, why don't I go like try to get a full-time job, because I think what we're
Yeah.
doing is kind of running itself. So I got a job at Homelight in 2019. Was doing agent content for them, their podcast, other sort of stuff, and then left Homelight in early 2023 and formed my own company, which is called SEO Savvy Agent, in the summer of 2023. And so with that, I have clients that I do SEO consulting for. There's an online course, and so it's kind of right now like a mix of helping her as her marketing director and then doing my own thing with SEO Savvy Agent. So that's sort of
Gotcha.
where things are at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And just aside, a little bit of my background when you mentioned working with those bigger companies. So pre-real estate for me was 2009 to 2013, 15. I was in the United States Air Force as a civilian. So I remember when I would need to get approval for like one thing, there was like 20 people that would have to sign off for it. And then the last person would say no, and you'd have to start all over. So I too myself enjoy working with small business, B2B type of entrepreneurs where they can make split decisions and it's only one or two people normally. So I completely feel you there.
Yeah.
But that's a lot. You have a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack. One of the things that I think a lot of people not necessarily struggle with, but might not necessarily take advantage of is what you had mentioned. And I think this is the genesis of how you're able to live in real time doing this for your wife and her business. And then you essentially made what you're referring to as like systems or processes, or for anyone listening, standard operating procedures, or we call them playbooks in our company. So I'd love to start there.
Okay.
And talk about, how you compartmentalize them, how you established those, because I do a lot of, I'm always reading and I'm always trying to educate myself and always trying to not have to reinvent the wheel. And a lot of my research has found most companies are able to scale because of those. And the companies that don't are shooting from the hip, don't have any system or process in place, and kind of every single time the same thing comes up, they're doing it different. And that's not an efficient, effective way to scale. So if we may start there, can you talk us through how you kind of came up with what you came up with? And then a lot of people I talk to, they did it out of a necessity for their own company and then said, hey, this is a really great idea. Let me, in essence, commercialize it and help out other people. So we'll start where you started and then kind of grow into and learn about your current company, which I'd love to hear about. But let's start with you're embedded in your wife's company, helping her build out and basically create these systems, right?
Sure. Yeah. She was. You don't last. So she started in 2004. It was late 2017, early 2018 when I started. Quote, was hired as her marketing director. And so, she already had 12, 13 years in the business, 14 years maybe. And you don't, Andrew, right? You don't last that long without some measure of success. So she was already a successful agent here in the Tri-Cities. Most years she was top 5% in this market, Southeast Washington, South Central Washington. But I think she would admit that she did that mainly on the strength of her personality. She's a real extrovert, outgoing people person. People really connect with her. She connects with them. They love her. She loves them. Right. So it was all built on relationships and just the strength of that aspect of the business. There was not a whole lot of systems in place. Like I said, I would occasionally say, hey, you should do a blog post about this, or hey, have you sent, an email newsletter out lately? That kind of thing. Like, what are you doing on social media? It was all kind of random and, when I have time, that kind of thing. And so, so when I came in and when she said, help me take my marketing to the next level, I'm going to be forming a team, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, well, we're going to need some systems. And so I come from mainly a marketing side, but we also needed to find a CRM. Like, she didn't have a CRM at that point. And so there's just all these like disparate pieces, like doing their own thing. And so the system, and I agree with what you said, right? Like, what's that great, was it James Clear, I think, who had the great quote, like, you don't rise to the level of your goals.
I read that this morning. You fall to the level of your system. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't remember when I first saw that quote, but I was like, that is exactly the truth, right? Like, you can set all the goals in the world, but you need the systems to get you there. Especially in a business like real estate, where it is, repetitive,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, right?
I'll
So,
argue also, I think that's a great point. Didn't mean to cut you off. You need the systems, but that only takes you so far. You also need the people, and that's a whole
yeah,
nother part of it. But I
absolutely.
mean, obviously, you can operate individually or independently on systems and get you to a certain point. But at a certain point, there's called the breaking point of like,
Yeah,
hey, my business has grown too much, too fast. And there's literally not enough time in each day. The systems help you kind of shave down that
yeah,
the operations part of it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
just the second piece of that, I think, and love to get into is the people aspect of it as well.
Totally, absolutely, 100% agree with that. So she hired a transaction coordinator. She brought me on, so she was covering the people side of this. And so, when I got started, I was like, all right, we need business operations, so the CRM and all that sort of stuff, and let's get on Slack so we can communicate, all that sort of stuff. Coming at it from
Yep.
a marketing angle, now I wanted her, like, we know in marketing you need to be consistent. And so that was like one of the first things, like, what can we do on a consistent basis to add value to buyers and sellers in this area, or buyers coming into this area from other areas? And what can we do better? What can we do different? Like, where is the opportunity lane? And where does that opportunity lane sort of go in parallel with our strengths? And so
Right.
I know in real estate, and it's still true today, there's very few real estate agents that are focusing on, whether they're solo agent, team lead, whatever it might be, there's very few that are focusing on their website as a source of leads. You're on Facebook, I'm on Facebook. Every day, every week, you see, how do I buy leads? Where should I buy leads? And I came into this knowing you've got a website, like, that is such an untapped source of gold, right?
Right.
Because we know every day buyers and sellers are getting on Google and they are typing things like realtors near me, best realtor in Kennewick, Washington, where we are, best realtor in Alexandria, Virginia, right? They're typing, is Tri-Cities, Washington a good place to retire? Pros and cons of living in Tri-Cities. Like, there's a million searches going on every day. And I knew that, like, not a lot of real estate agents in this area were focused on that. So that was like one of the first systems that we wanted to put in place was, all right, let's start blogging regularly. Let's turn our website into a great lead source. We also then said, all right, SEO takes a while. So we said, all right, where are we going to get, if we're going to be adding real estate agents to this team, we need to be able to feed them leads. So we started paying for Zillow advertising, right? Like, we sponsored 2 or 3 zip codes. We did the same thing with Realtor.com. We were doing Google PPC for a while, so we sort of systematized the paid ad side of thing to sort of get the instant leads, because, like I said, SEO does take a while. But then we also started a monthly newsletter so that she could, share information with people that, had opted in to hear from her. We sort of systematized the social media, and so just adding the system of, like, what could we do that's different and better, and sort of like get her name and visibility out there. Like, she's already had, like I said, 13 years of success. Get it to the next level. And then the other thing we did too is, because she's so very personality driven, really connects with her clients, we put a system in place for staying in touch with past clients. And so, like, and so, like, you see on agents asking, like, I had this deal that closed last month. Like, I want to stay in touch with my clients. Like, what do I say? How often do I communicate with them? And so, like, we have a system where every month we have a private Facebook group for our Facebook for her past clients. So she can, we can communicate with them that way whenever we want. We have an email list just for past clients. And then every month we either send out a gift offer to them, or we host an event. And we probably do 5-6 events a year. So it's like half the year is events, half the year is gift offers. And it's usually just little things that have, like a value of $25-50. Like, one last year was, I think in the heat of the summer, one of the gift offers was like a homemade ice cream maker. So anybody that wants to make ice cream at home, and so we just send out this offer. Hey, does anybody want this? And and then they come to the office and they pick it up. She gets FaceTime with her past clients.
Cool.
So we kind of systemize that as well. And so over the years, just doing this over the years, the stuff that we knew we could do well and do consistently. By 2019, we were able to drop Zillow. We were able to drop Realtor.com. We were able to drop Google PPC. And then right now, her website and SEO is her number one source of leads. It's her number two source of closings. And the number one source of closings is that Sphere and people
Awesome.
she knows, right? Like referrals and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
So basically, you started with the end in mind of having your website SEO with your consistency, which is the key here. Consistency is key, right? Like if you're not consistent, it's never going to work.
Right.
So you supplemented via paid leads, Zillow, Realtor,
At the beginning.
PPC, and then over time, it kind of went the percentages of where it came from. I'm assuming like week one, no SEO leads, no closings,
Right.
but maybe Zillow and the rest
Right.
of the paid ones were 90-95%, and then it just went like this. And
Yeah.
then you got rid of them, which in turn, what does that do for your margins as well? Just since we also talk about business here, right? Your margins probably shot through the roof because your acquisition costs per customer drastically reduced because it's all organic at this point, right?
Yeah. I think we were spending, I want to say we were spending somewhere between maybe $5,000 to $7,000 a month on Zillow, Realtor, and Google PPC. It was really expensive, and so like once that's instantly $60,000 in savings, right? The minute you cut that off, I think it was January 2019 or whatever when we cut that off. Just a huge difference in terms of the bottom line. Now that said, like creating content and going after organic, I'll see every so often like somebody said, SEO is free leads. It's not really free leads because you have to invest time in it. It takes time. You have to invest the time to create great content. So like a team leader, if there's a team leader that's listening that wants to go in this direction, I would encourage them to find somebody on staff or hire somebody that is a natural or can be trained at creating content, because that's really what organic traffic is all about, right? Whether it's organic through social media or organic through SEO or whatever, or organic through your email newsletter, it's all about great content. And so if you have somebody on staff that can create great content and is experienced in that and is a good writer, whatever it might be, right? That will get you so far down the path towards, organic success. But yeah, that's exactly. You're right. Like the impact on the business bottom line was huge, just huge.
Probably like night and day, right?
Yeah.
But let's go ahead.
And I'll just add one more thing too. Not just the impact on the bottom line. It was just such a good feeling to not be reliant on other sources to get leads, to be able to generate your own leads on a consistent basis and know that it's going to continue without having to write a check every month.
Yeah.
It was just such a good feeling. It was so good.
In addition to what you just said, I'll argue and I'll probably make an assumption that is most likely true. What did that do to your conversion rates also?
Yeah. Through the roof, because a lot of the people that come to your website, they read a great article or a couple great articles on your blog, they watch a video on your website or on your YouTube channel, you are pre-selling them. They come to you, they contact you, and they already know your personality, they know that you're knowledgeable, and they're already pre-sold. And you don't have to go through that whole, am I going to get
competition, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Like
she is competition.
Yeah, and Carrie has, she's got a ton of blog posts, but there's one in particular that we wrote 4 years ago and still gets leads today. Like, she gets people commenting on this blog post, can you please list my house for sale? Like, they're just pre-sold. And the conversion rate is awesome. It really is.
Yeah, it's almost at that point, you've done a tremendous job of getting the whole, engine to that point where they're almost coming to you hoping that you all will list their home.
Yeah.
And you have that not leverage, but you have that you're in an environment now where you're not having to compete, and people are almost knocking on your door saying, "Hey, I already know, like, and trust you," right?
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
the goal.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to kind of talk to you about is you mentioned this a little bit earlier. Before we get into the huge question of like, what are you telling these people on a consistent basis for years and years and years, is your comment around like people come to the Tri-Cities area, they want to know about it. That to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is being like the hyper local real estate agent that knows knows what their community is doing. How are you focusing on that part, and how important is it to this whole scenario that you're kind of walking us through right now?
Yeah, it's super important. So like just from a content creation perspective, like having done SEO for such a long time, like I know that, and it's especially true in real estate, Andrew, right? Like you are an agent, my wife's an agent, I'm sort of adjacent to real estate agents. You guys know how real estate works, like, the back of your hand, right? The rest of us out here in regular world, we have no idea how real estate works. It is such a complicated process, and there's a thing called, have you ever heard of the curse of knowledge? It's an actual psychoanalytic or whatever condition where we are smart, you and I are smart in certain things, and we have this tendency to assume that everybody knows the same stuff we know.
Right.
And so I see that in real estate agents all the time. Like, oh, I don't need to explain this. Everybody knows how the transaction works.
Yep.
That is so untrue. I'll get to the I know you asked about hyperlocal, but I want to talk about the real estate side of this first. So
Sure.
Carrie and I bought our first house in 1998 or whatever. And like I said, I'd been around real estate my whole life. We bought our second house in 2012. And the first time she mentioned the phrase earnest money, I was like, what the heck is earnest money?
Yeah.
What does this term mean? And I'd been married to her, and I'd had my dad and my sister, right? And people just don't know this stuff. And it's the same thing with the area too, right? So people that are, especially people that are moving from another area to your area. And Tri-Cities is not a huge destination, but we know that, people every day are searching what's it like to live in Kennewick. What's the cost of living in the Tri-Cities as compared to Spokane or Seattle, or cost of living for Tri-Cities versus Yakima, which is like our closest big city. And like for Alexandria too, right? They're probably asking the same thing. You're not far from Washington, D.C., I would assume. Right?
Yeah, I mean, my house is literally half a mile from DC, so we're in Northern Virginia. Yeah.
So like if I were thinking about moving there, I would be typing, I would have a million questions about the area. And so, you need to be that hyper local expert and just share all the information that you can. Like what question, and like people that ask, like clients or whatever ask, what should I be putting on my website? What should I be writing on my blog? Well, all the questions that people ask you every day, buyers or sellers, anytime you get a question, you got to should I put that on my blog? Is that something I can write a few paragraphs about? And then there's bigger things that they all, like everybody needs to know the pros and cons of living in an area. What's the best neighborhoods? Then you get into sort of the steering area, which is kind of iffy. So we're always cautious about best neighborhoods or best schools. We don't really talk about that. We actually have content on my wife's website explaining why she can't answer that question. So if somebody types best school districts in Tri-Cities, Washington, her post, I think, comes up on page 1, and she explains why she can't answer that question. So you have to be that hyper local expert and put your knowledge on the screen, right, for them, on your blog, on your website, all that sort of stuff. Super, super important.
No, that's great stuff, and I think that is well received by someone doing a Google search around that. If they constantly see you or whoever, whatever agent out there is branded as like the hyper local with the most amount of knowledge, they're going to feel comfortable with you. And that goes back to our conversation around they already, you're pre-selling yourself. They already know, like, and trust you. And then if you're, if you don't blow it on the discovery call or the in-person meeting, you have a really good opportunity of actually converting them into a client. And then, you can take it from there where they can refer you and it just snowballs, right?
Yeah.
But it all
Yep.
starts with you being consistent, you being out there, and you being findable, which
Yeah.
is great. And I love how you kind of supplemented and leveraged the paid advertisements while you were building, and you had the foresight to know this isn't like a 2-month thing where I'm going to do a couple blogs and be on page one. This is like if you are in real estate, you should be doing this from the time you start until you stop doing real estate, right? You should
Absolutely.
never turn off this. So that's a high level strategy, right? But let's talk about what a lot of people are kind of worried about: content creation. It's this new thing where you constantly have to be putting out content every day. I've heard the Gary V's or the Alex Hermosi saying you have to put out 50 pieces of content a day and
Oh my gosh,
spend
right?
tons of money. I want to know, number one, how you guys are consistently doing that. And then I'd be curious to know, because I'm a tech person. I love technology. I have a pretty cool tech stack, if I can, say so myself,
Right.
around AI. Are you guys using AI? And there's a lot of talk in our industry and in sales around AI of, if you're not using AI every single day, you're not going to be around for that much longer because it just gets you to the finish line that much faster. So it's kind of a loaded question, but
Sure.
How are you coming up with content, staying consistent, and do you have an AI tech stack at all in there?
Yeah. So on the consistency angle, I'll do that first. I will be the first to. We are not as consistent as I wish we were. We post probably, gosh, I would say, on an average month, between 5 and 7 blog posts. Some of those are just announcing our newest listing. And then some of them are, the rest would be informational about the real estate process or about the Tri-Cities or whatever. The reason that we do a blog post when we have a new listing is it's social proof, right? Some visitor, they click the blog, they want to see if you're, like, how active your blog is. And if they can see that we've got all these listings, I think that's good social proof. It's also good to show the owner of the listing, hey, yeah,
you're advertising their home.
Look at us advert. We've got the landing page over here. We've got the blog put right. So we do that. I would wish for us to be a little more consistent in creating some of the, what I would call like pillar or anchor content, the really in-depth pieces that are likely to attract SEO traffic. That's an area where we can improve. When I talk to real estate agents, I like the 50 pieces of content thing, like that. It's so mind-blowing, and like I can't even wrap my head around it. And I'm a marketer, right? I'm not the agent. I just tell it, like, if you can get one blog post out a week, that's awesome. If you can do more, do more. But aim for one a week, and not every one of them needs to be this, in-depth 2,500 word thing. Just try for one a week to get in the habit, right? Like, when you create habits, it becomes easier to be consistent. So I always want my clients to get in the habit of creating content consistently.
Okay.
So that's sort of like the consistent angle. Where we get the ideas is, again, listening to clients, like, what are they asking? I do keyword research on a regular basis. I see what people are typing into Google, like what questions they have about real estate or about the Tri-Cities. So get a lot of ideas for content that way, and if we can unpack that later if you want.
Okay.
And then in terms of the AI stuff, it's we absolutely use AI. I'll say this: the one thing that we never do is use AI to write entire blog posts word for word.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of using it for, like, headline ideas. Give me an outline, I'm going to be writing a blog post about topic X, and my audience is, people that are thinking about moving to the Tri-Cities, and I am a 20-year veteran real estate agent. Give me an outline for a blog post about topic X, and make sure that it includes, at least these 3 points or whatever it might be. And so it's we use it regularly as a tool for creating outlines. The reason that I don't like to use it as word-for-word content is because I just don't think it creates high enough quality content at this point. You know, Google has a thing. Do you mind if I even have a couple slides for this?
Yeah,
Do you mind
go ahead.
let me see if I can do a quick share here. All
And
right,
while
so
you're doing that, just so everyone who might be trying to put together what you're describing right now, what tools, AI tools, are you using specifically to do that? Can you name them?
yeah, I mean it's primarily ChatGPT, the paid version of ChatGPT, and then for images, I'll use Midjourney every so often. But I like the images that you can make right in ChatGPT through what is it,
Yeah.
DALL-E. So that I mean
Yeah, that's new or
yeah that's
newer. Yeah.
those I would say that's probably the primary two areas
Cool.
that we're doing it. And I know there's there's so many other tools out there. Yeah. So I was saying, like I think that the content that you're going to get from ChatGPT is not really at the level at this point, and may never be, where you would want to have it create word for word content. So there's this concept in SEO called EEAT. So a lot of almost nobody knows that, to do searches and grade its search results, and they're called search quality raters, right? Now, you know, Andrew, Google doesn't tell anybody like what the ranking factors are, like, you know, do this, this, and that, and you're going to rank
Right.
number one, or you're going to be, right? But they have this thing on the left there, is the overview, the search quality rater guidelines. You can go online and you can do a search for search quality rater guidelines PDF, and you will find it's a 200-page PDF where Google teaches these raters how to grade its search results. And in this guide, they say that the 4 things that we are looking for in our search results are EEAT: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Okay? And so
I've never heard of this. This is cool.
And so this is sort of like this again. This is not ranking factors. This is what Google wants the end result to be. So if you do a search for, let's say you were thinking about moving to Seattle, you do a search for cost of living Seattle, you're going to get, you know, the pages of links of information. You're going to get all that stuff. Google wants what you see there to reflect experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And then it also says in this PDF that of those 4 things, trust is the most important member of the EEAT family. So the thing with the AI content and ChatGPT is that there's no way for it to know your experience, your expertise, your authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So I have, and we will continue to do this, like, give me an idea for a blog post. We might say, write the full blog post, but I'm not going to use it. I'll use it, and then, all right, hey, Carrie, here's what ChatGPT came up with. Now put your experience into there. Put your expertise.
Yeah.
So for example, there's one recent example of this. There's an article that we did a few months ago. Oh gosh, it was about how to get more money for your house when you're selling it. How to improve the value of your house. And so there was a thing. So ChatGPT, one of the things ChatGPT suggested, of course, was staging, right? Have your house staged. A professional stager can, know how to, declutter and all this sort of stuff. Great information, but boring information, right? Like, you're an age, like everybody knows
You've seen
that
it a million times.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So when Carrie went and rewrote that, she said, she just put her experience and her expertise. We love staging. We have a professional stager who has been in the business for 14 years. Every listing that we put on the market, we stage professionally. Here's the results we've had. So taking that generic content and replacing it with her experience and her expertise and her authority and all this, like that's what we do with AI content.
Yeah, I think so. I'll be the first to admit too, personally, when we do our blogs for our various companies that we have, this is a tremendous efficiency when it comes to like pre-digital age writer's block, where you're literally like sitting writing stuff out. or what's now more recently called blank page syndrome, right? Where you're like, I have to write a blog, but where do I even start?
Right.
One thing, so we use ChatGPT. We have started to do my GPTs, and we'll create like a marketing one or a blog one. And you can now, just for those who are maybe not into AI yet, you can now create your internal GPT for like Andrew
Yeah.
can have one, Matt, you can
Yeah.
have your own and be like, hey, here's my website. Learn how I talk, learn about me, learn about this, learn about
Yes.
that. And it's just for you. It's not like collectively using everyone in the world. It's just for you.
Yeah.
But what we do is and we kind of plan out consistently as well. We'll say, hey, we need to do blog posts, write a blog post about A, B, and C. But I think where you can kind of get in trouble, and not saying that anyone or everyone does this, but you have to read it. You have to put your own spin on it. Because if you just copy and paste, it's gonna read like you just copy and pasted it out of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
We also use, just as an aside, we use Jasper.ai for marketing.
Okay.
It's a little bit more marketing niche specific, a little bit more rich in keywords, a great tool, but we use both collectively together. But you
Gotcha.
have to, like you were saying, have it start it for you. And it doesn't need to be a book, right? It could be 2 paragraphs. The blog doesn't have to be anything crazy. But
Right.
add your own touch, add your own voice, add your own flavor to it, and then add that hyper local perspective. And that's how you can consistently churn out on any topic a blog in a matter of, honestly, if you can get really efficient at it, a matter of minutes. And to take it a step further, we publish our blogs. We have a WordPress website. We publish our blogs through a schedule too. So we have every 15th of the month, kind of just walking you through
Perfect. Yeah,
our
that's
cadence.
perfect.
But every
That's
15th
perfect.
of the month, our team gets together and says, what do we want to talk about in January? Let's talk about these 5 things because, AI is
Oh,
a
I
big
love that.
topic. Interest rates are a big topic, whatever. Then we'll go spend 2 hours in ChatGPT and Jasper, create the blogs, publish them, get the images and the graphics together, go into WordPress, literally schedule them out for once a week to auto post. And we just repeat that every single month.
Yeah,
And
that's
then we
awesome.
can take those blog posts and also make social media content posts or stories or reels around that.
Yeah.
So it's just a machine. And
Yeah.
that kind of goes back to like, what do you talk about? I mean, literally go to Google and type in, what should I talk about on my blog? 10 things to talk about on my blog, and then just start chopping away at it. Or put that into ChatGPT. I'm a real estate agent. I need you to act as my marketing person. Come up with 10 things to talk about in a blog. Copy the first one, and then just drill down and give it more prompts around, hey, this is the topic. Give me an outline. Then you use it to get you 80% of the way there, and then you finish it the way you want it to finish, and then you schedule it and post out. Just have a playbook around that, and rinse and repeat every single month.
I love how systematized you are about that, and that's an awesome way to do it. I love so 2 things. You mentioned the personalized, the custom GPTs. One of the things that if Carrie's team, like right now, her team is just her. She's the only agent, and then myself, and then the admin who handles all the paperwork and transactions. If she had a larger team of, say, 5 to 10 or even more agents, at that, when you get to that size, of course, as you know, you need standard operating procedures for how
Right.
so that all the agents know, like, what do I do when a new lead comes in, here's all the situation. I would put, if I had all that documentation as to how my team runs itself, I would put that into a GPT. That way, the agents on my team, anytime that they have a question about what am I supposed to do in this situation, they could just go and type and get the answer. Like, put all that knowledge into there as well.
Yeah, that's a great approach. I'll let you know kind of our back end. We actually have, so we started with, I have a coach. I'll admit the playbook, obviously playbooks have been around, but I got the basic outline. I threw that into GPT and said, hey, this is our approach. And we came up with our template, right? And then we have Google Workspace that we use. And we actually have a playbook, our first playbook. We have a library, a spreadsheet with literally a library by department. So like sales, operations, all the different kind of things. But the first playbook at the very top is our playbook on how to build playbooks. And that
Love it.
teaches
Yes.
you how to make a playbook. And the rule in our company is every single time you do something for the first time, so every single time for those who are like, oh, I should start a blog, make a playbook on how to start a blog and have the checklist and the items and record yourself doing it and all the different pieces of what that means to you and your company. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just throw it into a Google spreadsheet or handwrite it. It doesn't matter, but just have it. So then you're constantly iterating on that playbook. But then when something goes wrong or doesn't happen the right way, you're not like, well, Matt, how did you publish this? And you're like, I don't know. You're like, okay, Matt, did you do 5 steps for a blog? Did you do step 1? Yes. Step 2? Yes. Step 3? No, I didn't. Oh, there's the problem. So let's go back and do step 3. So you're at least you're able to triage it or have a good understanding, but you're creating efficiencies, right? And then to your point, when you hire, like when we plan to hire, we're not spending a week or 2 weeks or even a month training Matt, the new marketing person. We're like, hey, Matt, here's how our company operates on playbooks. Here's an entire library about marketing playbooks. Go and do your own, spend a week yourself learning it, watching the videos, reading through it. But we give you an 80% solution. And then we also, we know these are like team members and they're people. So it doesn't need to be step 1, do this, step 2, do that, like very like to the granular detail, but it's just an overview of the strategy. And then your team members are, we trust in you enough that you can take it from what we give you to the finish line. But we always begin with the end in mind. With the purpose of this playbook is to publish a blog efficiently, month over month, to be consistent, never missing a month. So that's kind of the level of detail we take our playbooks with, on top of the strategy behind the blog posts, since we're talking about blog posts right now.
That's so awesome. And to have those systems, I mean, it makes the onboarding process easier and makes it more likely that the agent is going to succeed as they join your team.
Yeah. And they're owners of it, right? So you're giving them a tangible program, process, playbook to own and to tweak. And all of our documents are live. So you can go in and make changes to it. Another efficiency is you're not taking screenshots. You're not taking, detailed notes to that level, because what happens? We went from repurpose.io to Jasper, and then everything changes constantly. So you never want to get an obsolete playbook, because what good does an obsolete playbook do for you? It's just, I don't want a library of old playbooks that no one uses.
Exactly. Yeah, that's no good.
So
No,
on our team,
awesome.
You have the option to, iterate the playbook as you deem necessary. You can, you have the authority to go in and add a checklist. At the bottom it says, did you invite Matt? Did you make sure Matt got the link? Did you do all this stuff? We have a playbook for the podcast that we followed. So you were seeing the fruits of that labor going into the playbook, where you got an invite, then an email, then you'll get some stuff on the back end. So just codify everything. Just makes it so much easier for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's so important. I love how organized you. I love that your first playbook is about playbooks. That's fantastic.
And the importance of it and why we do it. We want people to buy into it, because at the end of the day, if you joined our team, I also want you making playbooks, and I have to know that you buy into that mindset or the vision of what a playbook is and why it's important for you personally and for the team collectively.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this too, Andrew. If you like, I'm a sports fan. I know not everybody's a sports fan, but like all the like every successful sports team has playbooks. Every successful athlete and you hear like a lot of, I don't need a coach. I'm great. Tiger Woods has had a coach. Tom Brady has a coach. Serena Williams, right? They are the greatest in their field, and they have coaches. They have playbooks. They have systems and processes. So don't tell me that you're so great you don't need it, right? Like everybody can improve when they have all that stuff in place.
I've said this a lot on these Team Lead Talks episodes with the different guests I've had the privilege of talking to, but I always just like to reiterate it just in case someone might just be listening to this one. But my biggest regret early on back in 2013 when we started was having that mentality of I'm, smart enough. I know what
Yeah.
I'm doing. I don't need a mentor. I don't need a coach. I don't need someone who's been there. But I've regretted that for however, 10 plus years. And I wish I know coaches can be expensive. So I'm not saying
Yeah.
go out and have an overhead cost right away, but get a mentor or just join a team. But to your point, and I mentioned this before, I'm constantly reading, but I'll read in different categories like finance or processes or building companies. But um, my most excitable category that I love to read is around CEOs that have been around.
Yeah.
So I just read like Bob Iger's biography, Richard Branson, all the CEOs that have been there, done that. And honestly, man, the key thing for all of these, and I also follow a lot of people on social media as well. And I'm not kidding you, the biggest part of their success when you ask what's the one thing that you did to scale your business from 0 to 100 million, billion, whatever, is we implemented standard operating procedures or playbooks. I remember, I forget who the CEO was, but it was like a marketing agency. And he was like, I was reading, I read he has a blog, but he also has like a vlog, like a video blog. And he was getting interviewed walking around his office. And he was like, we literally have a playbook on how to make coffee. And it was attached to like the coffee maker. And he was like, it's funny, but like, it saves people time, and they're not like, how does the coffee machine work?
Right.
Because all coffee machines are different, and it's laughable because it's like, oh, that's really silly. But he's like, that's how serious we take it. It's, get the pod, click this button, it opens and does this, and he kind of walked us. It was like super easy, but it was like now the CEO, wouldn't have to spend 10 minutes telling Matt, the new employee or team member, how to do the coffee.
Yeah.
But he was like, we also have a 20-page marketing campaign playbook that's very, very serious. So there's a broad spectrum of playbooks, but they had that mentality. And that's why we implemented the rule in our team. The first time anyone does something, number one, you go and see in the library or ask, is there a playbook? Hey, hey, Jonas, someone on our team, can you go and do this? His first inclination to me is to say, do we have a playbook? No, you're going to have to create one. Cool.
Nice.
Goes in, copy and paste the template. You can literally right click, say copy this, name it the blank playbook, and then just start. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to get started.
Yeah, and it makes you more efficient. You get more done in less time with less friction and fewer mistakes.
But think about this too. When your wife or you are building out your own company, or when I'm trying to get new team members and they interview with me, they interview with someone else and someone else and someone else, and they come into our company and they're like learning about our back end systems and how we actually trigger or do things, like how do we execute? And I'm like, hey, this is how we do things. We have playbooks. Here's a library. Here's how you learn everything. Here's our system. Here's how we're tracking every single KPI, every single data part or piece. And then they go to the next guy, and the next guy's like, well, you can, feel free to do whatever you want, and you can blog and do whatever. We don't have anything really written out. They're going to be like, wow. And maybe not, like I'm just assuming this, but they're going to be like, this person has their head on their shoulders. They have a real system, a real process, a real well thought out, curated process for any program. I want to be a part of that. Yeah. And that's who we try to attract, like-minded individuals who buy into and agree with our mission and our vision and know the efficiency that can be, created with this type of mentality.
Yeah. Yep, I'm totally on board with that. I think that sounds so awesome. Yeah, totally on board with that.
So Matt, we talked about a lot, and I know that you kind of spun off, going back to our early part of our conversation. You did this for your wife and her business and her team, and now you have a company that you kind of do this for. Can you walk us through what that kind of looks like, if any? And number one, if anyone wants to get involved, or reach out to you to kind of get your recommendation or how you approach this, we will put your contact information in the description of this episode. Towards the end, I'll have you kind of let everyone know how to get in touch with you. But walk us through your awesome company that you have.
Sure, yeah. SEO Savvy Agent is formed in the summer of 2023, and there's sort of, I guess probably the best way to explain it is that there's two different angles or two different paths that an agent could go down with me. So when you're doing online marketing, especially when you're doing SEO especially, it's either an investment of time or money, right? So knowing that some agents have more time than money, there's an online course where there's like 3 hours worth of videos, and you can learn. It's all about the EEAT that we talked about, right? Like, what is Google looking for? How do buyers and sellers search? Like, what are they typing in? What kind of content you should be making? So if you're the DIY type, then and don't have the money like to afford a full SEO project, an SEO campaign, the online courses is where I usually say, hey,
that's kind of like a
try
starter
and learn to do it yourself. And then, there's a community where you can ask me questions, blah blah blah. For the agents that don't have a lot of time and want somebody to do it for them, then I also offer consulting services where I will be basically their marketing team or their SEO team, depending upon what kind of staffing they have already. And so I work with clients all over the country, like one client per market, because I don't want to compete against myself.
Cool.
And so I will help them with with their SEO, with their website, with content creation, putting all those systems and processes in place that we talked about.
Awesome.
So yeah, there's kind of two different ways they can go there.
Cool. So just to summarize real quick, there's kind of like a marketing SEO 101 course that someone could purchase from you and learn the basics, kind of foundation level, but that's more for the do-it-yourselfer. They'll learn your strategy, but then have to go and execute and implement on their own. And then there's an additional service that you provide around, hey, maybe I've taken the course, maybe not, but I don't want to have to focus my own time and energy on it. I just want someone to take care of it for me. And then you also provide it as well.
Yes, exactly. It's similar in that way. Like if you were to think, all right, I need to start running Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever, you can either do it yourself or you can hire somebody to do it for you. It's the same. Right. It's the same way with SEO. It's just a matter of which way you want to invest.
Awesome. And then please also correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the stuff we just talked about in terms of like being the hyperlocal agent and blog posts and kind of getting those systems in place, that's what one would be investing in with you if they were to get the, hey, Matt, just go and do this all for me. You kind of set up their foundation, but knowing that it's for the long term, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like a quick overview of what a typical client project looks like. Like in the first month, we do an audit of the website, like what's working, what's not, like where can they improve, where are the opportunities, all that sort of stuff. We do some benchmarking of how much traffic are you getting now, like what are you ranking for, how often are you posting, where does your traffic come from. Do some benchmarking. We'll do some competitive analysis, like let's look at who you're going to be competing with when you try to get further down the SEO path, right. And then we do some keyword research. All right, like what do we need to optimize your pages for, and then once we have that in place, there's put together an SEO plan, and then we start touching the website, and
cool.
We're gonna optimize this page, we're gonna optimize that page, and it's all like outlined in the plan, and we just go. It's very systematic, very process oriented. So I
like
it,
that.
I'm a systems guy. So yeah, that's
cool.
typically what it looks like.
Awesome. Well, that is really cool. I think there's a need for that too. It's really hard. I mean, real estate agents are running and operating a business. They're wearing so many different hats.
Yeah.
One of the big pieces that we've also implemented kind of around leveraging a Matt to help with SEO and help with that organic lead gen is leveraging different people to help you do it. So you're not, investing your own time, taking your time away from number one, like family or being able to do things when you want to do things, but also you're getting that expertise. So you're almost like expediting that progress exponentially, where it might take me 5 years to figure out that on my own, or, you get what you pay for, right? You obviously know what you're talking about. you can accomplish what might take me 5 years, and God knows how much money wasted money in maybe 6 months, maybe a year. But you're expediting that. You're buying back your time to do other things. So in real estate, what is that? Getting in front of people and hosting events, and getting your brand recognition out there. But I highly recommend, if anyone is kind of stuck with that part of your business, reach out to Matt. Matt, how would someone get in touch with you? And again, we'll include this on the description, but how can someone reach out to you if they want to talk to you?
My email address is probably the easiest way. It's Matt, M-A-T-T, at SEOsavvyagent.com. That's the domain. That's the website where all the information is. I love people to reach out via email. They can find, I'm on social media. It's at SEO Savvy Agent on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and where have you. If anybody, I love answering questions. Andrew, I can totally nerd out on this stuff all the time. I've got people emailing questions every day, so I'm happy to answer questions, right? No commitment or whatever, or courses or whatever. Then I'll happy to share that information as well. So
awesome. Well, I've had the pleasure of talking with Matt offline about this stuff too. So I really he knows what he's talking about. So again, reach out to him if you do have any questions. Matt, it's been awesome kind of picking your brain here. I think, not to start a whole nother conversation, but online, in my opinion, is like, we still do direct mail and other things, but online reputation and online consistency, in my opinion, again, is, I think, here to stay. So the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is today. So if you haven't gotten on the SEO organic, website build out, start today and just get that rocking and rolling. But thank you so much for your time, man. I had a pleasure having you on the show today.
Andrew, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm happy to chat anytime.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Take care.